You all know I'm a big fan of The Apprentice on the BBC, where the most recent series saw an Irish woman, Roisin Hogan, make it through to the semi-final, where Alan Sugar decided her business idea wasn't for him. However, an Irish sugar daddy believes his UK equivalent's loss is his gain, as Paddy Callaghan from Nature's Best stepped into the breach to work with Roisin to develop her convenience food concept. And Roisin and Paddy are with me on Late Lunch. Hey Paddy, do you like that?
Gerry, I love that. I've never been called a sugar daddy before, so that's a first.
You're both very welcome
Thank
to
you
the
for
show.
having us,
How did you hook up? Were you watching the series, Roisin, or were you in touch with Paddy before? What happened?
It's kind of a fateful story, I guess. I suppose independent of the series, there was a little break between when we filmed the series and when the series actually aired, and so I knew what the outcome of the series was. No one else did, but so I wasn't going to sit in my laurels, and it was kind of through an ex-colleague of mine that I came in touch with Paddy. So an independent introduction, and Paddy loved the product and loved the idea, and that's me.
I met Roisin for the first time. I had heard about the product and I thought, God, this sounds fantastic. Very, very low in calories, very low in carbohydrates, appeals to a mass market. Can it all be true? To be honest, I was saying, wow, this is utopia. I met Roisin. I was very, very impressed with her commitment, her dedication, all the research she had done, her whole attitude, everything about the person and the product and the personality. And I thought, God, this could be a really big brand. And I met Roisin a few times and discovered that I suppose she could put together a product that I felt could appeal to a mass market in many, many countries. We had the production capability and the premises and the infrastructure to produce it. So it was a situation where we probably complemented one another in terms of strengths and skills.
So a real fit with Nature's
Absolutely.
Best you feel
Yes.
that you have here.
For sure.
Yeah.
And of course your route to market is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so lucky. I'm in a much better position than I would have been had I won the show, to be totally honest. Like, I'm coming in here with an expert with 30 years experience, a huge manufacturing capability, a distribution network there, a real expert in the areas that I really lack in. So, I mean, thank God everything worked out really for the best, I think.
It's amazing in that when the show did air and you went all the way through, God, we were following you each week. You know, in Ireland, the way we love our heroes on these shows, and when we have the Irish person there, we're willing you all the way, and you got to the penultimate week. You just didn't make to the final week, but the final two were there. Roisin, my heart went out to you when you went in front of his 4 experts. It was shocking, wasn't it?
I know.
Was it that bad?
It was worse. It was worse because I love the show myself and I watch the show, and I watch it, when I'm watching it as a viewer, I'm like, oh, that's tough. But my goodness, when you're in the middle of it and you're walking towards the interviewers and it's a really long walk and your legs are like jelly and you're kind of mentally preparing yourself for what they're going to ask, and then they are throwing stuff at you out of left field. They have done, they have 30 people doing all this research for them. So it's a really, really challenging and really emotionally charged situation, but you just deal with it as best you can.
2 things I picked out. Firstly, they got you on the market research. They didn't feel you'd done enough, and I think that was fair comment. But how they found that other product, and I thought, was it a little bit disingenuous because it was sort of a niche product in France that not many had heard about?
I know. Do you know what? Like, it shocked me, and my business plan, Paddy will tell you, was like War and Peace. You know, I thought I had really boxed everything off, and the market research, I totally take that. I just hadn't got the opportunity to do anymore. But the French product, it's this obscure French product, only available online in pockets of France. But you know what? It's TV, and you got to accept that, and I think you got to just roll with it. Yeah.
One of your colleagues, what's his name, when he went into Littman,
Solomon.
Osman Solomon went to that guy Littman, and he was going well, and then he told him to get out. He actually threw him out. The poor devil, he walked into the window. I'll never forget that.
He did, and I remember him coming downstairs and explaining that story to me, and I was like, you poor boy, God love you. And the others, I remember Mark and Daniel were kind of like rubbing their hands together with glee after hearing, he's been knocked down, that means we're going up a level. So that definitely worked out well for them.
Now, you're an interesting woman, very interesting in that here you are, a high flyer in the world of accountancy, Ernst & Young.
Yeah.
And you decide to leave it all behind you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people listening today will say, Roisin.
I know. My mother was like, you lunatic, what are you at? But to be honest, and Ernst & Young, I have to say, is such an amazing place to work. And I got such great foundations there. And I learned so much from there. And it just all really evolved naturally for me when, I gave up smoking, and this kind of led me into a more healthy direction and looking for a
Is
healthy
that true, that on New Year's Day you decided to stop smoking and that welled up this entrepreneurial spirit in you?
Totally, 100%. I was in Ernst & Young, and they used to call people like me lifers. I'm putting I've inverted commas here, because I was really committed there. I really wanted to be a partner. I was doing great in my career, and giving up smoking was the catalyst to me exploring healthy eating and looking for low carbohydrate, low calorie, really nice and satisfying meals. And this developed this idea for me, and that's what prompted me to leave my job.
An amazing link. And Paddy, when I think of you, because you've joined me in this seat before and talked about yourself and how it began for you, do you see parallels with Roisin in that the way it started for you on a small scale?
Oh, absolutely. I see massive commitment from Roisin. I see incredible belief, hard work, massive research, great opportunity. I think the product she's got is right in touch or on trend with what today's consumer wants.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this product.
Yeah.
And Nudels, hey, have you checked the English dictionary, the Oxford English Dictionary, Nudels?
Yeah, it's a little bit cheeky, a little bit playful. But it's a great product. It's a great concept. And, Paddy and I and the NPD team in Nature's Best, we really worked hard on it to create a really gorgeous, flavoursome and satisfying product. But the great thing is it's less than 200 calories and virtually carbohydrate free. So it's going to be in the chilled aisle in your supermarkets.
When?
End of May, we're going to launch.
Yeah.
So it's not far away
Not
at
far
this
away,
stage.
no.
And it will
Very
be Roisin's Nudels.
The Nudels, as again spelled kind of cheeky, by Roisin at the moment.
Nudels by Roisin,
Yeah.
so the other way round. And what will it come in? Will it be a range of flavours? What?
Yeah, we've three in the range at the moment, and we've lots in the pipeline. So initially it's going to be a yummy chicken ramen noodle, and we also have a prawn miso noodle, and we have a chili chicken stir fry.
Good.
So they're complete meal ranges.
Yeah, and a nice cross the board there. Different flavours, different tastes as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So the end of May, and where will we see this? Where are you going to push it? Have you secured distribution? Have you agreed with the people you're supplying at the moment that they're going to stock it? No?
Well, yes, we've had negotiations and we have a target customer group in mind, so plans are well on way.
Okay.
And we have some
So that's in
tastings
train
and that's
at this
very
point
much
in
in train,
Yeah.
has been for some
You
time.
have 3 at the moment. Are you ultra confident that this will go?
Absolutely, totally, yes.
Why?
Because it is delivering a product that is right, ticking all the boxes for what the consumer needs. It's healthy, it's convenient, it tastes good, it's going to be realistically priced, it really has such a big target audience. I have total confidence in it.
Yeah.
Are you going to... It's been produced in-house in Nature's Best.
Correct.
What does that mean to you? Will there be any more jobs, or can you cope within the bodies and infrastructure you have at the moment?
As we stand at the moment, yes, we have certainly lots of capacity to do it. It's going to start off relatively small, but when we get into export markets, which is something we plan to do by the end of the year, then it will certainly mean many more jobs. How many, we're not sure at the moment, but I would hope that if I'm sitting here this time next year, we could be talking about another 20 to 30 jobs in Drogheda.
That would be phenomenal.
It would be, and it's a really exciting product, I think, and I really hope that, between Paddy and I, and the product itself, we have the capability to bring an Irish product to the international market on a really big scale. We've kind of done all the thinking for you. I always use, my father-in-law, he killed me for saying this, but he's like my barometer. He doesn't really like noodles, and he definitely doesn't eat low-calorie food, and he loves them. Well. That's my barometer.
And you can go back to sugar.
Yeah.
That could be fun. Sugar free.
I love it.
That's good.
Hey, that's a good one. You're smart. The whole Apprentice, from auditioning to going through all that gruel for all the weeks that you put up or to get to the latter stages. When you came out the other side and you didn't make that final two, did you feel a little bit down because that happened?
Definitely. I mean, I'm a really ambitious and competitive person. I wouldn't have gone into a process like that if I wasn't. And I could see after the interview stage, I knew that they had gone really badly, and I could see the train coming down the tracks that this, there's no way he's going to hire me after the kind of roasting I got in the interview stage. So I was kind of prepared for it, but obviously I'd never been fired before, so that's pretty disappointing. Yeah, I'll keep that one off the CV. I was disappointed. But then after I came out of it and was home a few days, because you're coming out of this bubble, you've been living in this house with your competitors, you don't see your family and friends, you've no contact with the outside world. So it's, personally as well as professionally, it was a very strange experience. But my goodness, I've learned so much. I'm learning so much now at Paddy, and I couldn't be in a better place in my career.
Well, that's a testament in itself.
It's kind of living the dream, to be honest.
To what you went through. I want to take a short break. Nudels by Roisin, and we have the Roisin and her mentor, Paddy Callaghan, with us on Late Lunch. From The Apprentice, Roisin Hogan and Paddy Callaghan are with us this afternoon. Paddy, do you think you'd have got through The Apprentice yourself if you went in front of Sugar?
Good question.
I would have been afraid to even complete the entry form, Gerry, so no, I wouldn't have had the courage to face that, I can tell you.
Do you enjoy it? Do you watch it yourself?
Yes, I watch it. I think it's a great show. It's a brilliant show, and a lot of drama in it. Obviously, a lot of stress and very, very high stakes for everybody involved. But I have to say, looking at it independently, I think the BBC did a phenomenal job, and I have no idea what they spent on it, but it must have been a massive, massive budget, massive amount of time making it, a massive amount of research.
But here's the thing: tell them, how many people have you working at Nature's Best at the minute?
Well, we've 250 people working at Nature's Best, so we produce in excess of 200 odd different products. They're all produced every day to order. They're on the shelves in the supermarkets all around the country. We supply some product to all of the supermarket chains, and we're in a good space. We produce healthy, convenient products that fortunately are growing in popularity, and people's lifestyles are changing. We're all, I suppose, shopping more often, buying less. The traditional meat and potatoes and two veg is getting less common than it might have been 10, 15 years ago. And people are snacking, eating on the hoof, eating as they go. And we're right in that space. But we've a great team of people. We're just a half a mile up the road beside the back of the TLT Theatre in a great location beside the M1. And fortunately, there's lots of great opportunities in the food business. And I just feel very lucky to have met Roisin before Christmas at the right time.
I got the lucky end.
No. I think we complement one another in terms of.
And are you in there? Are you working in Nature's Best yet?
Paddy's kindly given me an office in Nature's Best. I share with Siobhan by the NPD kitchen, so I'm out there getting my hands dirty, getting into the product development. And
you've rode the dip and the wave of economic times. Do you feel it's on the rise? I ask anybody I have with me who's in business about this. What's your perspective from your particular market segment? Is it on the lift?
Certainly it is on the lift, yeah. I think people are spending a little bit more money, but being extremely cautious about how they spend it. People are still looking for value for money. People are still looking for the specials and the promotions, undoubtedly. But I think the economy is coming out of the terrible recession we were in a couple of years ago.
Back to the house and The Apprentice. When you go in there, 20 you go in at the start, nobody knows anybody. You had one ally, there was one other Irish girl with you, wasn't there? But do you form alliances quick on? Because at the end of the day, it's dog eat dog, isn't it?
It is, and it's such a surreal experience because you're living in a house with your competition and you're in the boardroom tearing strips off each other, and then you go back to the house and it's like, will we have a coffee? It's really, really odd. I mean, I don't think, and please God, there'll never be another experience like it in my life, but you just need to learn to adapt, and we're all human as well. Like I was, there'd be tears and there would be heartache and everything, and you would be, it is very isolating though. You'd be lying on your own in bed at night thinking, you'd be mid-task thinking, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? Are we going to win? Are we going to lose? You'd analyse everything you did, and you had no one really to confide in because your real competition are actually your own team rather than the opposing team.
Yes. And did people actually pull against you at times?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, people are, throughout the process, some people will be looking out for themselves, some people will be looking out for the team, but it's an individual competition.
Were you surprised at the winner at the end of the day? A service business he went for? Mark Wright, the Australian guy, won it. I thought actually Bianca Miller, who had the hosiery, I thought she was a model for him.
My goodness, Gerry, I totally agree with you. Bianca's product, when she was describing it in the boardroom, I was leaning forward, nodding my head, saying, I would totally buy that. Nearly, you should back her. But I think it makes sense for Alan Sugar to go with Mark, because he can go into, Sugar HQ and have a computer and a phone and start. There's very little capital expenditure required. Whereas with Bianca, and the same with me as well, you need manufacture, you need warehousing, you need distribution, you need suppliers, So it's also in the tech field, which is where Alan Sugar really likes to be. I think Mark, who's a lovely guy, actually makes a lot of sense for Alan Sugar, the same way I think Paddy and I make a lot of sense for each other.
And just staying with The Apprentice for a moment, Nick Hewer, who's retired now, is advisor, and Karen Brady. Yeah. What are they like? When they're with you close by, they're observing your day. Do they ever empathise with you, or are they frosty? It's
really weird because they're really not allowed to give anything away. So they're quite standoffish, although Nick will have a joke with you, he will crack a few jokes. They're quite funny, actually. But with Karen, I was like, I couldn't read her, really couldn't read her. And then it's only when I watched the show back that I realised she really had my back, and she was really supportive of me. But at the time, she's just taking notes. She's kind of, you can see her making a few faces to the camera, but you really can't get a read on her. She's a good poker face.
Well, you brought back into the boardroom. You weren't really too many times back to face the sack with the three that come back.
I was when I lost the task as project manager, embarrassingly enough.
But you survived.
I did, yeah. And I did go back to the boardroom as well. James, one of the other candidates, brought me back basically because I gave out to him in front of Lord Sugar. And I think it was more an emotional decision rather than a practical decision from him, which was a really bad strategic move, because if you can't, back up a reason for bringing someone in, you're going to get in trouble, and he ended up getting fired.
It's facing really the gallery, isn't it? When you go in there and there's three and somebody's gone, and somebody, you actually got rid of two people one week there as well, So
three people one week.
Three even went. My word, it is something else. But what has it? What do you think, Paddy? What do you think? What's the attraction in The Apprentice? Why do we watch it?
I think people are fascinated by maybe reality TV, but this was at a much more serious level with really serious stakes, and put together by the BBC, who do a phenomenal job all round. In the TV,
it is addictive TV. When you start watching week one and you're introduced to the characters, and then they sort of become, I like Roisin, I don't like that fella, and then maybe, but during the weeks it does change as well. I have to say that people you are endeared to you, and you start maybe to dislike others as well, and I think that's what grabs us all.
It does grab you, and what I really thought before I went in, my parents and my husband were like, oh, don't do it. That is, you've worked so hard in your career and you don't want to ruin your credibility. And I was like, no, I got to back myself. But they were thinking, could it be, edited badly? But the reality is, although it's more intense, those things really happen. People really are like that. I think it's actually a fair representation of people. Although some people wouldn't like me saying that.
Would you do it again?
I definitely would, in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Even though it was a tough time.
With the same outcome, yeah.
Even thinking about that.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you do anything differently?
No, I wouldn't. I went in there and I was really myself, and I worked really hard, and there was nothing else that I could do. I mean, obviously there are things on tasks that I would change so that we could have won the task, but ultimately I would have got fired when I did, and which thankfully led me to Paddy.
Did you become instantly recognisable when you came back home? And well, I know there was a time gap between filming and when it aired on BBC, but you noticed, do people still say, oh, that's her?
It's really weird because I was really anonymous. I had no Facebook, nothing before I did it. And then all of a sudden you're on TV, on the BBC, and people are like, let's take a selfie, or let's do, whatever. But people have been so supportive. It's been awesome.
I remember meeting Roisin for a cup of coffee one Saturday morning. I think it was early December in Dublin. And we're sitting there about 11 o'clock, cup of coffee, and some lady gets up, walks over and taps Roisin on the shoulder and said, "You're brilliant on TV. We were rooting for you." And I said, "Do you know that lady?" And she said, "No, don't know her from Adam." And then I think, Roisin, you were telling me that same week you were in some pharmacy, I think, and some lady walked up to you and said, "Do you know what? You look very like that Irish girl in The Apprentice."
Yeah, and people, it's brilliant because obviously it's great because the whole reason I did The Apprentice was so I could have a great platform to launch the product that I really believe in, but also it has made such a difference because you don't know how you're going to be received, or people might like or hate you, but people have been, I'm so grateful that people have been so kind and supportive of me, and please God it will continue.
Yeah.
I read in your resume that you say, and I think these are your words, that you're not a very patient person, you wouldn't be known for your spontaneity, you like to have control, and you're a calculated risk taker. Does this say it all about going into business with this man?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I sound like such a boring accountant when you read that.
Did I ever say an accountant was boring? Paddy knows the importance of bean counters.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I think that, like, yeah, I wrote all those things. That's definitely true. I'm not the most spontaneous in the world. I do think things through, and calculated risk taker. I like the odd game of poker here, but you need to take the calculated risk. You don't go all in a pair of twos. But yeah, I think that has all of those things and all of that experience that I've got in Ernst & Young, and then the creative side with the product, have all combined to be hopefully a good package to align with nature's best and Paddy.
Yeah.
Your husband you mentioned, and you were quite emotional on the show when you said that without his support and your family you'd never have done this, because it was a big decision no matter what you say.
Absolutely.
And they all, I've been through it so to myself, they say, "You're nuts to leave that permanent pensionable job, what are you doing?" But look, what the hell if you don't do it?
Yeah, I think the way I'd look at it is, and I was in such a lucky position that I was able to do it, but I think the way I look at it is, if I didn't do it, I would definitely regret it. If I did do it, I might regret it. And I just didn't want to live with that regret. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity, and like let the chips fall where they may, and thankfully it's worked out so well.
You've seen it all yourself since it started with those bean sprouts. You've gone roads, you've come back, you've ventured others. Paddy, you believe this is going to happen?
I do absolutely believe this will happen. I think this is a tremendous product with a tremendous personality, with huge scope, and I think our strengths complement one another perfectly.
Nudels by Roisin. We can't wait. May is coming fast. It'll be on the shelves. I wish you well. Thank you so much for joining me on today. Well done to you, Paddy. You're a match made in heaven. And can I say you're hired?
Thank you for having us so much.
Roisin Hogan and Paddy Callaghan, thanks a million for joining me on the show.